About a week ago, I made a short 60-second movie that was inspired by one of the new PS4 games that came out, The Last of Us Part 2. In this video, I'm going to take you through my journey, how I made that 60-second video, and the 5 steps that I followed. But first, let's take a look at the completed project. What's up guys, my name is Sean, welcome to my tech channel. In this channel, I review products, do unboxing, and offer tutorials. So if you enjoy content like this, you may want to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification so you won't miss my future videos. So let's start with a disclaimer that I am not a professional. This is just what I have learned following some of the other great filmmakers and videographers, and I try to apply them by trying to practice as much as I can, and this was simply one more project I wanted to do so I could practice. So the 5 steps are: first, writing the story; number 2, scouting locations; number 3, coming up with your shot list; number 4, do the actual video shoot; and number 5 is the video editing, which includes sound design. So a short film is a film anywhere from 1 minute to maybe about 30 to 45 minutes. So when it comes to filmmaking and storytelling and writing stories, I learned a lot from a YouTuber and filmmaker named Darius. I'll put a link in the description below. Definitely check him out. So when you're writing a short story that is only 1 minute, there are a lot of things you cannot do. For example, you're not going to have time to develop a backstory, but there's some things you simply have to do even if your movie is 60 seconds long. Number 1, you have to establish a character. Number 2, you have to establish a problem. Number 3, your character acts on that problem. And number 4, you get results, which should be very simple, which is either success or failure. Number 2, scouting location. So it is important to try to take a look at the different areas you think you can or want to shoot. You want to check out the lighting. You want to check out the surroundings. You want to check out the noise level. You want to check out, see if you need any permits to shoot in that environment. When you go scout locations, it's important to take your camera with you or even your phone, because you want to play around with different shots and take as many pictures and videos as possible. So later on, when you're trying to think about your shot list, that could come very handy. I live in Maryland. There are a lot of wooded areas in almost all neighborhoods. So the first spot I checked out, it was just simply too dense. It looked really nice, but it was just too dense for me to be able to freely run around, and I would be very limited with camera angles, and I thought it may not come out that nice. The next day, I was driving around and I came across this park, and I pulled over, went to the parking lot, and I saw this nice wooded area. When I went inside, it was nicely dense to the point that you could not hear the road, you could not see the buildings and people and parking lot. It was spacious enough that I could actually run around and trying to play around with different camera angles. So that became my spot. Number 3 is writing down the shot list. So there are different ways you can come up with your shot list. You can actually draw stick figures to try to come up with the shot list. The shot list can be very detailed. Some of the professional shot lists, they include the camera gear, the lenses they're using, whether they're going to use a gimbal or not. They also specifically mark the camera movement as well as the character and actor's movement. For something very simple like this, I did not do an elaborated shot list. I use an app called Clear. This app is actually not designed for this. This is an app designed for when you have a task list of to-dos for you to be able to simply clear off. But I like this because it's very easy to add whatever you want to the list. But also if you want to move some of these things around, you could easily do that. So in my mind, I start typing down some of the shots that was important to me, right? So first I wanted to have some quiet scenes. So I wrote 3 to 5 scenery shots, fixed camera. So I'm trying to kind of like remind myself what I wanted to do. The first action scene, I wrote running into across the frame, slow camera pan in the same direction of the character movement. So I'm imagining that the camera is slowly moving this way when you see the actor is running across it. So that was basically my shot list. Put your thoughts down. It would help you tremendously on the day you're gonna go and actually shoot this, but also be open to different ideas. For example, we had this fantastic sunset. My wife had the suggestion for me to kind of like walk towards the sun, and she would try to get maybe like a silhouette of me with the sun like hitting the lens really harsh, kind of like a calming and soothing ending at the end with the sunset. I think that was the money shot, and I personally love that idea, even though it was not in my shot list. Number 4, the video shoot itself. So this was a little bit tricky for me because my wife is very comfortable handling a camera. She takes fantastic photos, but she does not do video work. I have a DJI Ronin S, but the setup and teaching it, I just didn't have enough time for that. So what I did was I took advantage of that opportunity and I heavily leaned into it and I made it a style. So the whole style of the movie is very violent shake to trying to demonstrate the panic mode that this character is in. So I did not stabilize any of the shots. All of them is just simply raw handheld movements to try to capture that raw essence of this guy in distress, running away, fighting for his life. Whew. So day 2, trying to take different shots. 1, trying to match the lighting with last night because I like some of those footage, and then trying with different lenses, a little bit wide. The GoPro shots didn't come out too good, and we'll see. So we're almost done with the chase. I'm gonna do one more take of me falling down, and then I will do the final scene where I find the bow and arrow. By the way, I'm using a Canon 80D. Primary lens for most of those shots was with 35mm 2.0, which is what I have on this camera right now. Some of the shots, including the final shot, I use a 50mm, which turns into almost an 80mm 1.8 on a crop sensor I have. And for I think only 1 or 2 shots, I use the 18-135 lens, and I use this to capture that wide shot at 18mm when I was doing a selfie shot when I was running through the woods. So the final step is video editing. This is where everything will come together, and this by far is one of the most exciting part of the process for me, to trying to bring everything together with the lights, with the sound, with the music, with the right cuts, transition, and things like that. So I always start with making sure I have good file organization, and then I try to review all the files I have in my review panel, and I try to scrub and go through different clips that I have. And so I scrub through most of the footage and mark what I like and start importing them into my timeline. Then in my timeline, I start cutting them and putting them together, right? Something about that cheap Rode mic that I use, it really helped me out. So this is the raw audio with no change from the Rode shotgun mic I used. So it's very windy, it's very rough. You can actually hear me stepping on leaves and branches. And I thought that was a great way to try to capture what was going on in that environment at that moment. So I felt really good. Then I didn't really need to go back and try to change my audio. Then this is one of the other shots I have with my selfie, in the selfie mode, to really capture the expression in my face. This is me running around like a madman, holding on to the Canon 80D with the 18-135 lens, and I had this on wide at 18mm. The next piece is this footage of me falling down. We did maybe about 10 takes This was the one that seemed more natural. The camera follow through was really nice. So we end up going with this one. The other elements when you're doing the video editing is the color grading. I just want to show you guys how the camera footage looks when I try to use a CineStyle profile in my Canon 80D. So this is what it looks like. And this is what I've turned it into. So you guys can see the difference. And typically what I do, I bring down the midtones a lot. In this case, I turned the white balance temperature, made it a lot colder than it was. And then I also turned on the saturation. Those are some of the basic things I did. This is the bass soundtrack I chose for this. This is my breathing. This is the crow sound, the bird sounds that I have. This is just the environment sound I have with the birds. Again, these, most of them I get from Epidemic Sound. I'll put a link down in the description, not sponsored. And this is to kind of like really have that really punchy entrance when the character jumps in. This is the sound I drop in the beginning. Now I want you guys to listen to all of these layers without the music. This is as I get closer to the bow and arrow, I introduce the zombie noises. And here's from the beginning, all of them combined. So this was it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this walkthrough. If you want any more detailed information about any of these steps, let me know. Like I said, I'm still learning just like you. So if you have any comments, anything you can share with me, any tips, tricks that would help me or the other viewers out, please drop a comment down below. If you're still watching this, you might as well drop a like. I'm telling you, that's the best help you can give me and this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.